Subject on splitting Excel file. Splitting Excel file is an operation we often encounter in our daily work. For example, we often need to split a large table into many small tables by number of rows. Or split a large table into many small tables by a certain category. We may also need to deal with duplicate data after splitting. In addition, we may need to split such a cross table into multiple smaller tables by column. Or split a row-based table into multiple card-style files. Or split a multi-sheet table into multiple files, etc. All these issues are quite troublesome to deal with in Excel. When there are a lot of files, copy and paste is even more inadvisable. To help improve work efficiency, we will provide esProc solutions for some common requirements encountered when splitting Excel file. We divide such requirements into 4 categories, and each category is further divided into several subcategories, which basically cover most common split issues. For simplicity, we will refer to splitting table vertically and splitting table horizontally as vertical split and horizontal split respectively in this subject. Let's start with vertical split. Vertical split involves 3 subcategories, and we will explain them one by one from simple to complex. 1. Vertical split by number of rows. Split a relatively large Excel file into several small files by a specified number of rows. For example, there is an order table file orders.xls. As shown in the figure, the first row is the column header, and starting from the second row is the data, with one piece of data per row. It is required to split this Excel file into small files with 10,000 rows each. Similarly, the first row of each split small file is the column header, and starting from the second row is the data. Let's write the script. Use the T function to read the data in orders.xlsx file. Loop through the data in A1, getting 10,000 rows of data each time. Use orders followed by a loop number as the file name, and write the data from A2 to the file. If the original file is too large to be loaded into memory, we can use big data method, that is, suffix the T function with the option at C to read the data as cursor and write them in batches. 2. Split by category. Split Excel file into multiple files. Categorize the data in the order table by shippers, save the data of each category as a separate Excel file, and name the file with the category name. These are the split results. It can be seen that the shippers' values of different files are different, and the shippers' values of the same file are the same. For splitting by category, SPL can use the group function to implement. A1, read the data in orders.xlsx. B1, use the group function to group the data by shippers. A2, loop through each shipper's group. B2, use the shipper name as the file name and write the group data in A2 to the file. After looping, the data of each group is written to a different file. Split by category. Split Excel file into multiple sheets. We still use the same order table as an example. Now we want to split it into different sheets in the same file. Categorize the data in the order table by shippers, save the data of each category as a separate sheet, and name the sheet with the category name. As shown in the figure, the split file contains multiple sheets, each of which contains the data of the same category of shippers. Likewise, we use the group function. Read the data in orders.xlsx, group by shippers, loop through each shipper's group, use the shipper name as the sheet name and write the group data in A2 to the sheet. When XExport has the sheet parameter, data can be written to a specified sheet. The option at T means the first row is the header, and at K means to replace the sheet with the same name. When the specified sheet name exists in the original file, replace the content inside the sheet. When the specified sheet name does not exist, a sheet with the same name will be generated. Split by category. Segmentize by data. There is an order detail data file order detail extended.xlsx. Now we want to split the file into 3 segments by the value ranges in extended price column, less than 500, 500 to 2000, and greater than 2000, and save the 3 segments as separate Excel files. In addition to grouping directly by field, the group function can also group by expression. For example, in this example, the if expression can be used as the grouping condition. Put the data whose extended price values are less than 500 into a group and name it LT500.xlsx. Put the data whose extended price values are greater than 2000 into a group and name it MT2000.xlsx, and put the remaining data into a group and name it 500-2000.xlsx. Here the group function returns a multilayer table sequence, where the file name is the group name, and data is the group data. For example, by clicking on the data of the first group, it can be seen that the extended price values in this group are all between 500 and 2000. Then loop through A2 and write each group of data to a file named with the corresponding group name. Split by category, group an Excel table by part of value of the specified cell and store as multiple files. This Excel table is sorted by column A, whose cell values are string separated by dash. The first part of cell value represents a category, and there are 3 categories in total, which are AA, BB, and CC. It is required to split the table by category into multiple tab-separated text files, and name these files group_AA.text, etc. Now let's write the script. Use the T function to read the Excel table as a table sequence. Because there are no header in this file, the @B option is added. Then use the group function to group the data. The grouping condition here is category, so we need to use the split function to split these strings by hyphen and take the corresponding category. After grouping, use T@B again to write the group data respectively to files such as group_AA.text and group_BB.text. In the code, #1 and #2 represent column number. Split by category, split an Excel table into multiple files by empty row. For example, there is an Excel file, which stores the transcripts of several classes, with empty rows separating different classes. It is required to select the split content based on empty row and use the first cell content of the split content as the new file name to save. For example, save the transcript of class 1 as class1.xlsx, the transcript of class 2 as class2.xlsx, and so on. Let's write the script. A1, import the data in the Excel table. The option at W means reading the data as a sequence of sequences. A2, use the group function to group, and the grouping condition is that the previous row is an empty set. At I means that if the result of the grouping condition is true, a new group is started. Then remove the empty set from each group. A3, use the first member of each group as file name, such as class 1. For each file, export the data starting from the second member of each group. Here we still use the @W option to export data as sequence of sequences. 3. Split multicard table into multiple files, with one card corresponding to one file. There is a multicard table cards.xlsx, which stores multiple card style tables, and each card contains the basic information of an employee. Now we need to split this table into multiple files, with one card corresponding to one file, and name the file with the employee's name. By observing the regularity of the data in the left figure, we find that the same information item on each card is stored in the same column. For example, ID and first name information on each card are both stored in column B, and gender and last name information on each card are both stored in column D. In addition, the row where each card information is located is cyclic. For example, the ID information on the first card is in row 1, and that on the second card and third card is in row 9 and row 17 respectively. That is to say, every 8 rows forms a cycle. Observing the data of the split files in the right figure reveals that the format of every file is exactly the same, that is, the position of information like ID, gender, name and title on each file is the same. Therefore, we consider performing this task in such a way that we first create a card template, and loop through each card in the original file, and write each card to the template, and finally save them as different files. Create an empty card style file card.xlsx as the initial file format. Now let's write the script. A1, open the empty card template card.xlsx. A2, open the multicard file cards.xlsx. A3, list the column numbers of the cells to be read. B3, list the row numbers of the cells to be read. A4, concatenate the cell names of the first card. A5, loop. B5, concatenate the cell names of the current card and read the data in it. B6, C6, exit the loop if all cards have been read. B7 C7, loop through A4 and write the data in B5 to A1 one by one. B8, write A1 to the file named with the current card name. B9, add 8 to row number, because one card consists of 8 rows. Section 2. Format conversion. Sometimes we will also encounter the situation of converting some special format tables, such as card style table and primary subtable. Let's look at some examples. 1. Generate a card for each row of data. There is a row-based table employee.xlsx which contains employee information, with each row corresponding to the information of one employee. Now we want to split this table and generate a card style table for each employee, and name the generated card style file with the employee's name. As shown in the figure, each card represents one employee. A careful observation reveals that the positions of employee information on each card, such as ID, name and title, are the same, so we can loop through each row of data in the row-based table and write them into these cells respectively. Similarly, we need to make an empty card style template first, and then write the script. A1, import the data in employee.xlsx. C1, define the sequence of cell names where each column of the employee information is about to be written on the card. A2, loop through every employee. B2, open the empty card file as an Excel object. B3, loop through each cell to be filled in. C3, fill the content of the corresponding column number of the current employee in A2 into the current to be written cell. B4, store the Excel object of B2 to the Excel file named after the employee's name. When there is a need to operate on Excel cells, first use the xlsopen function to read file as an Excel object, and then use the xlscell function to read content from or write content to cells. The xlswrite function can save the modified Excel object to a file. 2. Split tables in primary sub-relationship into cards. There are two tables that are in primary sub-relationship. The first one is an order table, which is the primary table and stores the basic information of each order, with one order corresponding to one row of data. The second one is an order details table, which is the subtable and stores the product information of each order, with one order involving multiple products and corresponding to multiple pieces of data. Now we need to associate the two tables on order ID and generate a card style file in primary sub-relationship for each order, and name the file with order ID. As shown in the figure, one card represents one order. The first 4 rows is the primary table, which contains the basic information of order, and starting from the 6th row is the subtable, which contain the detailed information of order. First create an empty card style template and then write script. A1, import the data in orders1.xlsx. A2, import the data in orderdetails.xlsx. A3, align A2 to A1, at A means many to one, and the association column is order ID. A4, open the empty template file order.xlsx. A5, delete the order ID column from A2, as this column does not need to be displayed on the exported subtable. A6, loop through the primary table A1. B6, write the primary table data to the corresponding position of A4 template. B7, write the subtable data at the corresponding position in A3 to the cell starting from A7 in A4 template. B8, output the final generated primary subcard style table to the file named after order ID. Section 3, Horizontal split. Horizontal split generally refers to splitting a wide table into multiple relatively narrower tables. Similarly, horizontal split also involves 3 subcategories. Let's explain them from simple to complex. 1. Split by column. Use column name as file name. There is a table amount.xlsx which summarizes the amount data of certain products purchased by some key customers. Now we want to split it by product, save each product as a separate file, name the file with product name and take amount as column name. This is the split result, which shows that apple, bread, and pork are separately saved as a file that stores the amount data for the product. Now let's write the script. Use the T function to open amount.xlsx, get the column names except name, loop through the column names, generate a new table sequence based on A1 and get the corresponding column values, use the column name as file name and save as an Excel file. 2. Split by column. Use column name as sheet name. We still use the table amount.xlsx as an example. Now we want to split it into multiple sheets by product, and use product name as sheet name. Similarly, generate a new table sequence based on A1 and get the corresponding column values. Here we use the export function to write data to a specified sheet. Be sure not to omit the option at TK. 3. Split and merge duplicate rows. There is a product data table which contains product category information, such as category ID, category name, and description. Now we need to separate the category information columns from the table to form a separate table called categories, with the remaining product columns being products table. Since there are many products under one category, there will be many duplicate category information in the split data which needs to be deduplicated. These are the split results. It can be seen that the duplicate rows have been merged in the categories table, and each ID corresponds to one data only. Now let's write the script. For the categories table, use the groups function to remove duplicates. For the products table, directly take the corresponding fields. Then save them as categories.xlsx and products.xlsx respectively. Section 4. Split a multi-sheet file into multiple files, unfixed number of sheets. Sometimes we may also need to split a multi-sheet file into multiple files by sheet. For example, there is a multi-sheet file amounts.xlsx, and the number of sheets is unfixed. It is required to split the file by sheet, save each sheet as a separate file, and name the file with sheet name. As shown in the figure, the sheets for apple, bread, pork, etc. are separately saved as one file after splitting. In this example, since the number of sheets contained in the file is uncertain, and it is required to use sheet name as file name, we first need to get which sheets are in the file. Use the xlsopen function to read the file as an Excel object and return 3 attributes of file: sheet name, number of rows, and number of columns. Then, loop through every sheet, save each sheet as a separate file, and name it with sheet name.